Good morning, Vietnam, and welcome to the Rona Rants podcast number 9. Today we have plenty of juicy topics to talk about with you guys, and I'm happy with how far we've gotten. I'm close to number 10. I wasn't sure if I could reach number 10, but I'm happy with how it's going, and I appreciate all the feedback that I've got up to this point. And yeah, let's just keep going and see where we can go with this. Lately, I've been struggling to stay regular, to keep some regularity on this. Like I still do it once a week, but I find that it's been harder and harder to find the time or the mental energy to start the podcast. And the reason is because I've been keeping up with the other hobbies that I have, and now I started a new hobby, or kind of started a new hobby. I wanted to study a bit more of electronics, so I could get into like electronic repair, which shouldn't be too hard because in part I studied this, so I'm going for a course with that, and I've been working a bit more now, and yeah, it's been hard to find the time, but the mental time, I mean, because there's always time. It's just it's a mental thing. But anyway, I want to start off with a topic that is quite interesting to me. I think it will be interesting to all of you because I actually had to research a bit about it. And it's a topic that I have a strong opinion on, and I think a lot of people have a strong opinion on. But I will try to talk about it in the most unbiased way possible, or most neutral, open-minded way possible. And the reason why it came to my mind to talk about this topic is because I recently had a kind of a debate with some people that I know about this. Like I knew some people that are into this, and the topic is astrology. Yeah, we discussed a lot, and they were really into astrology, and they started giving their thoughts, and I tried to kind of be flexible and listen to what they had to say, and then I presented my opinions, of course, but I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to try to understand it a bit more from their perspective. So let's do it. Bear with me, and let's talk about it together. So the first thing is, what is astrology, right? Because people just, when they think of astrology, they think about it like, okay, so I get assigned a certain sign based on the month that I was born, or like the time frame where I was born, and that dictates my entire personality. So apparently that's a basic way of looking at it. The more correct or standard way of looking at it is that astrology is the ideology that stars and planets have influence on human behavior. So the way that they're aligned has influence on us at all times. And especially at birth, at the time that you're born, that's when they matter the most to like define your personality. That's kind of the whole thing. So I mean, if you just look at what, like when you see people who actually believe in astrology, right? These are people who haven't really probably studied that much about it. Like they just took it, they took the basic concept for granted. They assumed that must be true. They know their own zodiac sign, and so they just read the newspaper and magazines and check their horoscope. That's fine. Apparently, because I mean, you can find huge flaws in all of this practice, right? It's really dumb in my opinion. But when you propose that to someone who is more into astrology, they say that the plot thickens. It's not just this. That's a very basic interpretation of astrology, and there's a lot more to it. So you basically go down the rabbit hole of almost lunacy. Anyway, I have to be unbiased. So essentially, there's a lot of things to it, and I will I will tell you guys how it works. At least my understanding, because I had to actually study this a little bit. So, first of all, why do people believe in this, right? Like, why? I try to think about why would people believe that the planets affect us in some way, or why? What is the point of knowing this? What is the point of understanding, like, of getting into astrology? In my opinion, I think it's because it's essentially the fear of the unknown, and that we as humans we always try to categorize things and find patterns where we can, and it somehow I think it makes people feel safer, and maybe kind of gives them meaning to life, and also to find some kind of connection to other humans. Like, we try to see what kind of patterns we have in common with other people, and we try to like structure life in a way that makes sense to us. Like, oh, I have this kind of personality because of this, not because of other external factors that influence my life. And I see that I have common traits with this person, and we're born more or less around the same time, so maybe this is the commonality between us, and that must be the cause. That's kind of the line of thinking. And I guess it's a lot of people who experienced coincidences in terms of like maybe finding other people that they don't like, and they tend to share a certain month of birth, or month or year, whatever. And yeah, I understand that people who are into astrology is because they want to try to find patterns where, in my opinion, it's too complex to form any pattern, and it's often based on coincidences or things that seem connected but they probably aren't connected. And I think that's why people believe in it. I mean, it's almost a sort of religion in a way, not in the God believing in God sense or afterlife sense, but it's more like the trying to find some kind of comfort in the chaos that is life. That is my opinion. There might be more to it, but I think that's mostly it. And also, not to forget that the whole astrology thing, when you look into it, it's often very heavily based on relationships. It's not so much about the rest of life. Like, they sometimes talk about money, how much money you will make, or the happiness or whatever, or maybe your like jealousy and other personality traits. But I feel like the biggest emphasis on this on this horoscope and astrology and forecasting, foreseeing thing is relationships. And usually they tackle relationships in almost everything astrology related. And this to me just kind of bolsters my idea of that this is just trying to find comfort in a chaotic situation, which is love, right? This is super confusing and super chaotic. So I mean, I understand why people are into it, but I just feel like, yeah, I'll leave that to the end. So I wanted to talk to you guys about how does true astrology look like. So if it's not just, oh, we're assigned a random sign at birth, then how does it work? So from what I researched, the main thing in astrology is the birth chart. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to you can find like a birth chart calculator online, and basically you need to give the exact time you were born, or approximate time you were born, and the date. So yeah, your date of birth and the place of birth. So all of these are important so that they can calculate how the planets were aligned, or their impact on your birth. So you provide this information. I know that I was born more or less around 8 o'clock. I don't know why I know this. I think my mom mentioned it before. So I put 8 o'clock and 4th of August of 1993. And so what they give you is imagine like the circle. You get like a circle, and there's like a bunch of lines and dots connected, and they form like this weird geometrical shape. But that actually doesn't really matter at all. I don't know why they give us that. I think it's some strange detail. But what matters is some signs that are allocated to the circle in certain positions. So imagine a circle, and the circle is divided into 12 slots, so like 12 slices, and these slices are called the houses. Okay, they're called the houses, and then there's like a line dividing the circle in half. It's dividing it horizontally. Okay, and the line, the most important part of the line is the west side. So that's where you start. It's basically a marker to tell you how to count the houses. So you start on the left side of the circle, and then you go counterclockwise, and that's how you count the houses. Okay, it's a bit hard to explain without a graph, but try to play along with me. So a circle divided into 12, and you have a line that cuts it in half. Okay, and you count them counterclockwise. And then what happens is when you calculate this birth chart, they pick up all the zodiac signs and they distribute them into each of the houses. So each house will have a zodiac sign. From what I understand, it's random. I might be wrong. Or sorry, not random. Let's assume that this was calculated. They will not everyone has the same sign in each house. That's what I meant. So the houses mean something, the zodiac signs mean something, and then you have the planets, which are these special symbols that they will put in each house or close to each house. And it's actually the way the birth charts work is that you need to look at the combination of planet plus sign plus house. So that's how you make an interpretation. You need the planet, the sign, and the house. And that's how you reach some kind of interpretation of your life. Okay? That's how I understood it. So what did I learn? So the main planet, the first thing is you look at the planets. So the main planet, which is not a planet, it's a star. The main planet or star is the sun. Okay? And that's what's going to define your main zodiac sign, or the things that you see in the horoscopes and shit. So the sun is your dominant personality or direct identity. That's how they describe it, at least in one website. In other websites, they said it differently, but let's go with this one. So it's your dominant personality or direct identity. So what you need to do is you need to find the sun symbol, okay? And then you see in which house is that sun symbol, and then you see which zodiac sign is related to that house. So for me, it was Leo. I already knew this because it's like the main horoscope zodiac sign that I have. So it was Leo, and I think it was the 8th house, whatever. And now you're thinking, what the fuck does house mean, you know? And I actually have an open tab here just to give you some ideas. So the first house talks about self, appearances, beginnings, the body, attitude, identity, approach to life. The second one has money, work, income, blah, blah, blah. The third talks about the mind, thinking, communication. Then the fourth, home, family. Fifth, romance, love, blah, 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 blah. It goes on into several different areas of life, okay? And what they say is that if you have like your sun in one of these houses, these are the things that matter the most to you, okay? So for me, according to this website, the thing that matters the most to me, the 8th house, is merging, whatever that means, sex, intimacy, shared finances, inheritances, taxes, loans, assets, property, joint ventures, goals, mystery, partners, resources. That's fucked up. I'm basically a gold digger. That's what they're saying here. I only care about money, sex, and my partner's resources. That's fucked up. So that's how they say it. And then the zodiac sign itself also has some characteristics, right? I don't know. I couldn't find like a proper interpretation of the zodiac signs because every website has their own subjective shit. But I think, oh no, actually Leo is here. what do they say about Leo? Uh, I have a huge heart, and I have the most generous sign. I'm always there to help, spoil, and protect the people I love. Okay, so I'm someone who loves a lot, is very generous, but I care a lot about money and my partner's resources, and um and and just sex and taxes. That's what I care about. So that makes sense. So yeah, that's the sun, and then you have a couple other things that you have a couple other planets, quote unquote, that you need to look into. So the moon is another one. The moon is talking about your inner self that people can't see on the surface. So again, you need to find the moon, and the moon is going to be in a certain house, and then you need to see the zodiac sign that's associated to that that planet moon, which is not a planet. And so you find that, you see like, what does it mean, whatever. And then another one that's also important is the ascendant. And the ascendant, don't ask me what that is. I have no idea. The ascendant is apparently the outward image that you project to the world. So that's also important. So actually, the true horoscope people, what they say is, they don't say, "Oh, I'm a Virgo. Oh, I'm a Pisces." You know, they don't say that. They say, "I'm a Leo. I'm a Leo. What is it? I'm a Leo in the Sun, 8th house. No, yeah, I'm Leo Sun, 8th house. I'm I am a Gemini Moon, 3rd house, and I am Ascendant or Rising, Taurus, 5th house. You know, that's how they actually say it. And don't ask me like how you can interpret this properly and understand how other people are. It's just, to me, it's insane. But yeah, this is what I wanted to tell you guys. There's a couple other things, like it gets even more complicated. There's more planets, you know, there's Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, whatever, Mercury. They even include Pluto, which is not a planet. It's not considered to be a planet anymore. And then you have Saturn. Apparently Saturn, there's a thing called return of Saturn, which is like it's a time frame in your life where things are going to be really hard, but you will have a lot of rewards. And apparently everyone has a return of Saturn. Yeah, it gets even more complex the more you go down. And the thing that I've seen in these websites is that whenever you look these things up, they always say, here's the basic interpretation. Oh, this is just a basic explanation. Why is everything basic? Like, where's the detailed explanation of everything? Where's the standardized interpretation of these things? There isn't any. I can't find any standardized place. Maybe there is one. If you know, please tell me in the comments. I couldn't find anything. So now I wanted to go into my opinion of astrology, what I think about astrology, and like what I would like to discuss with you guys, right? So first thing to put out is there's no scientific basis on astrology. I looked it up just in case. I mean, it's common sense that there isn't any. I couldn't find anything that would show a link between personalities and events and the planets and the way they're disposed. So I couldn't find anything. Maybe there is. I doubt it. So if there's no scientific basis, I'm already like less credible, or it's already less credible to me. That's point number one. But okay, let's keep an open mind and discuss the rest. So the second thing that I wanted to say is the interpretations that I found, they never match, and they're very subjective. There's no standardized interpretation, and that's frustrating. And in my opinion, it's very fortune-telling like. You know, it really makes it a lot less credible when there isn't a standard form. Plus, the whole complexity that they added to it, the fact that they say that it goes even further, and that you need to ask someone to read your chart. This is also very common. I didn't say that. It's very common that you have a chart and they say that you need someone to read your chart. You won't be able to read it properly if you do it yourself. That is a fucking scam, bro. That is a scam. That is so typical of a scam. That's a scam in my eyes. It really is. Like, why? It should not be that complex. It really should not be that complex. If you can explain quantum physics to people, if there's an actual standard book or standard books for it, right? And in theory, you can even, if you know it well enough, you could explain it to a 5-year-old. I'm pretty sure they can explain astrology to a 5-year-old and have a standard book for it. You wouldn't need a guru to interpret your signs and give you a proper forecast. It should be possible for one to do it by themselves. Otherwise, to me, it just screams it screams scam. And then, of course, we need to talk about like the basics, right? Because what people make fun of astrology is that, if we talk about the basic form of astrology that people know, is that they say that if you're born on the same month and the same year, in general in the same month, that you will have the same sign as someone else who was born in the same month or around the same time. And so you have a lot of common traits, right? That's the whole idea. So they will say, you're a Taurus, so you have X, you're like this. And if you're a Leo, you're more like this. Or if you're a Capricorn, you're more like that. And that's really stupid. I cannot see like how that's possible. I know other Leos and we have nothing in common. Or if we do, we have like a few things in common. But like that I can find the same things in common that I have with that person with another person who has a completely different sign. And I find it really, really unlikely that if you found 1,000 Leos, if you picked 1,000 Leos and you got them together, you would not be able to find one common trait, one common specific personality trait among all of them. You can't find just one among them. I really doubt that you could. And if you cannot find that, one that everyone in these 1,000 people share, then it's just bullshit to me. It's just bullshit because I don't see where there's no proof of statistics that Leos, for example, have this group of traits. There's no proof of anything. It's just completely subjective conjecture. And most of the times it's coincidence, like people will say, oh yeah, I have 3 X's and they're all Gemini. So like Geminis have these common traits. And oh yeah, I've noticed that like a lot of the really selfish people I saw were Taurus sign, or they were Scorpios or whatever. Like there's a lot of hate towards Scorpios, for example. And I don't know. It sounds really, really bullshit to me. And that's the basic interpretation. Now imagine if you have this more complex interpretation where you have these 3 main things, the sun, the moon, and the ascendant. And like, okay, that's cool and all, that's really specific and tells you more about yourself. But how do you compare yourself to other people then? Then it becomes so specific that you actually can't compare yourself to other people, that you're not connected at all to other people. Like you would have to find someone with exactly the same 3 things. And I think that's not possible if you change the time. So if I was born in 4th of August at 8 and someone else was born on the 4th of August at 5, we would not share the same astrological signs. And so what's the fucking point? Then it becomes like there's no point in astrology because we have nothing in common. There is no pattern. And so it's a very, there's too many fallacies in astrology, in my opinion. And then, of course, another point is like, even if the planets were to affect you, why is it that your birth date, so the date that you come out of your mom's vagina, is the most important date? Why? Like there's almost no difference between when you're born, like the instant that you're born and you're outside of your mom, and the instant where you're inside of your mom. There's almost no difference. There would be minimal how like the difference of impact, like how the planets impact you at that given time. Why is it important? And so then you start thinking, okay, then if the planets are affecting me, then of course they're affecting me throughout my entire not birth, but how do you call it, gestation? No, I don't know how it is in English, but the whole time that I'm inside my mom, they would affect me this whole time. In fact, I would argue that they would affect me more at the start, right? Just when I was conceived. Since I'm a smaller organism, and probably their influence on myself would be bigger, right? So actually the birth date shouldn't matter at all, in my opinion. And it becomes really complicated because like the time that you're inside your mom really varies from person to person. So, not everyone is born within 9 months. There's huge variations. And so it becomes impossible, considering what I said, like that the whole time that you're inside of your mom, you were influenced by these planets. It becomes impossible to predict like how your personality will be in comparison to other people. It doesn't matter like the time that you were born. So it's ridiculous. You can't compare yourself to other people basically like this. It's not substantial enough. There's no system there, And I think the reason why I have this kind of strong opinion against astrology, and that I try to keep an open mind and try to see what people think about it. And perhaps there are good things that come from astrology. I'm sure there's maybe some positive things that you can see in it. But I think I have this strong opinion because I don't see any evidence for it. And I think it can be really destructive. I really do believe that people can make really shitty decisions and treat others worse for something that is so completely subjective. Also, another thing that's important to note, even if this were true, even if the planets do affect us and the time and date of birth mattered, and that we all share common patterns, who decided which of these traits are common between us? How did they come up with this set of traits, and who came up with this set of traits? And that's one thing that you should ask yourself. Who did it? Who are we following here? Who was the person that made these things up or registered these? How was the process? It's super subjective. It's really super subjective. I'm guessing it's a compilation of different people who felt the same and just tried to like somehow abstract it and list it. But yeah, basically, I think astrology is kind of dangerous. I don't know what benefits there are in learning about astrology. I don't understand it. Like, what do you even want from it? Do you want to understand yourself better? Is it because you want to understand yourself better? Is it because you want to make sense of your love life and you want to try to improve your love life? I think there's much better metrics to understand yourself and your love life and your life in general, like more concrete things that you can check and use than astrology. But if it does help you, if it does bring you positivity, then go for it. I'm still a skeptic, and I don't believe in it. And I personally wouldn't have a problem if it wasn't for this like negative side that I said. Like people who really believe in astrology, they actually discriminate other people based on their signs, and they discriminate against other people, and that's really shitty. It's stupid too. And yeah, I don't know. If you truly believe in this and you think that I'm wrong, please let me know. Give me your opinions. I don't want to like make anyone feel bad for what they believe in, but I would like to understand a bit better. And if you have anything that you'd like to say, or any evidence that you'd like to show, or any like I don't know, positivity that came out of this, or stories, just let me know. I would be really interested in hearing more about that. So enough about astrology. I wanted to dedicate the rest of the time that I have to talk about socializing. So socializing in general, and and like the importance of socializing. And before I get into that, I just wanted to give you a bit of background on myself and why it's so important to me, like this whole topic. So, um, most people don't notice, but if you if you got to know me as I was growing up, I was actually really really shy and really awkward, very very awkward. So I don't know why, but as I was in my childhood, I didn't talk that much. I would mostly listen to what people had to say, and I would keep to myself a lot. And yeah, just in general, I was really, really shy, and I didn't like interacting with people. I felt like anything I said was kind of stupid, and I didn't know how to form my opinions very well. And yeah, I felt super awkward in social situations, and I avoided them as much as possible. Which is weird because like in high school I did like I had people who liked me, but I felt so awkward. I used sports to kind of stay away from talking to people, and I used video games to some extent to yeah to distract myself and to not get into it so much. And in contrast, um, nowadays, I would say I'm quite social. I think most people see me that way or perceive me that way. I would say I'm quite social. I've become an extrovert. I don't think I was in the beginning. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy meeting people, and it makes me feel better in general. And I feel like I'm quite good at it, actually. Not to brag, but I would say I'm pretty good at it. And and so I find it interesting how this has changed in my life, and I think that it really is super important. And even if you think that you're a shy person or that you don't like socializing, I personally believe that everyone can get to like it, and that we're all inherently social creatures, and that becoming better at socializing or learning to enjoy it more will really bring a lot of benefits to your life. That's my opinion. So so to back this up, I wanted to talk about like why is it so important. And when I say socializing, what I mean is to both keep it up with your or keeping your connection with your close friends alive, and also meeting new people. Both components are very important, and I think often people disregard one of them. So the most common is that people will focus a lot on their close friends and not really meet new people. That's the most common, I would say. But there's also people out there who are obsessed with meeting new people and making superficial connections, and they never really double down on the connections that they have and form like stronger ones. And both are mistakes, in my opinion. So um, let's touch on the first one. So the really important thing about having new people or new friends, like meeting new people and meeting and making new friends, is that you get really fresh new perspectives, and you it prevents you from falling into kind of a circle jerk of ideas. Like I don't know if you guys have been. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone falls into this situation at some point. Like you get a group of friends that are really close to you, and you're all very similar, but that then, I mean, you can grow a lot with that kind of group of friends, no matter which group it is. But then if you don't get like fresh input, um, you kind of always just you end up like becoming one uniform entity, and you stop considering other new things that come along. Like you all kind of form like a hive mind in a way, and that's not. I think it's not very good. Like it's important that you have new people coming into your life, and you have multiple groups of friends, so that you can like keep yourself flexible and hear about other lifestyles. The second thing that is also important to mention is that if you meet new people, you instantly get access to all sorts of interesting events that can go on. So, for example, when I was in, okay, before I get into this, I need to give a bit more background. Um, so for me, when I was in Portugal, I was really bad at socializing. I wasn't good at making friends, and just in general, it was really awkward. And things changed when I went on Erasmus to Sweden. That's when I started meeting more international people, and I got into the whole crowd. And I would say that I became obsessed with meeting new people. So they would even call me in Erasmus. They called me the butterfly because I was jumping from group to group, and I got used to dealing with large groups of people, trying to organize events, and just like meeting everyone and trying to get to know everyone's name and whatever. And so one of the best things about that was that, well, I got to get to know a lot of different lifestyles and cultures and stuff, and I got invited to a lot of events, which was great. It did have the downside, of course, of being too shallow. Like I think a lot of people kind of stayed away from me because they could sense that it was really shallow, like my connections. It was almost like I was using people, and that's really bad. I kind of regret that. So like there's a fine balance between you wanting to meet new people and also wanting to improve your already established connections. That's where I fucked up, I would say. So then later in Sweden, I started focusing more on my friends, and I would still meet new people, but I would have like this core group that I would often meet. And I think my life got a lot better since then. So yeah, I wanted to say another benefit of meeting new people is you get different events and you get invited to all kinds of things where you meet other new people. So it's kind of like a snowball. And another important thing to add, because I think a lot of people are skeptical about this. You know, there's like this common sentence that, oh, when you grow older, it's harder to make friends, and yeah, your close friends are going to be your university or school friends and whatever. That's not really true. I don't think it's true. I think you can make really close friends even at a later stage in life. I don't know how it will be when I'm a parent or when I'm like in my 40s or 50s. But I do still believe that if you know how to use your play your cards right, that you can make really close friends still at that age. Like if you know how to meet people and if you know how to strengthen relationships, I believe that you can make new close friends, which is awesome. Like that's the best thing you can go for. And I've managed to make really close friends even now that I'm not studying and I'm working. So yeah, it all comes down to, there is some skill involved in socializing, I would say. And then I would also wanted to add that I wanted to talk a bit more about this closeness between friends and just friendships in general. Like I think I somehow feel like, especially as people grow older, they start undervaluing friendship. And so I wanted to talk about friendship in general. It's so important that you have like these lower level friends, but also have these higher level close group of friends. And friendship is, in my opinion, really undervalued, because what tends to happen is people get like, they're so focused on dating and getting a partner that they kind of like start creating distance between their friends and start meeting their friends less and less. And the main point of friendship and socializing is putting in effort. So putting in effort to meet every now and then, or to talk every now and then, that's the core of friendships, in my opinion. Like that's how you will keep them alive. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, and they don't understand the value of friendships. Like you can be dating the best person in the world, and that person becomes your close friend, right? And then you have your family, which maybe is an awesome group of people that will support you, and you can talk to them, and maybe your brother, your sister, or your really good friends as well. But it's so important to have a group of friends, or at least a really close friend that is outside of this both family nucleus and the in the dating side, because um, it's someone that you can share experiences with about these two groups, and that is like completely it's completely external to these two groups. Because, for example, if you go to your family and complain about your partner, there's going to be some problems. If you complain to your partner about your family, there's also going to be some problems. While your friends are like this this like external factor, which is super good for that. And also, just in general, like, you want to have a group that is outside of your roots and outside of your super intimate life, that you can have fun with and share a life with. That's my opinion. I think they're really undervalued, and I see that with a lot of people. Like, I know so many people that have invested in their relationship so much that basically they are just them and their relationship. That's it. Um, and and mostly, like, in our parents' generation, you see this a lot. Like, old couples that they don't the man and the woman, they don't have friends outside of, maybe they have one friend or something, one friend that they talk to every 6 months, but they don't they don't really have like a proper group of friends. And I feel like that creates frustration, and it creates more problems than there should be. And it just makes life a lot less spicier or a lot less interesting. Like, it's important to have people to do and to do other things with, and to talk shit with and have fun with. I don't know. I personally don't want to be this 50, 60-year-old person with no friends, and just my partner. Like, it's definitely not going to happen. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that sort of person. Um, and I would say I'm blessed to have a pretty, I have a lot of really good friends. And I have a lot of friends that are on a lower level, but they're still great and they're so awesome to hang out with and to talk to. And I think both are really important. So, um, so given this, I think what would be interesting is to talk about how did I go from. It's not like I'm a social guru, by the way. I would say I'm pretty good at socializing. I'm not an expert, but I think it's interesting that I went from like shy to the point that I am at now, and I think some people could learn some things from my experience. And and I'm gonna try to explain what I did, uh, and I hope you don't laugh, because yeah, I'll try to be open about it. So before, I didn't like talking to people at all, and I felt like huge anxiety talking to people. And most of it was because I was very insecure. I felt like my opinions were not very valuable, and I was afraid of what people would think of me if I said things in a certain way, or if I opened myself in a certain way. And then, to be honest, I also felt like people were not that interesting. I I was always playing games and looking for other types of stimuli, and I just felt like people were not interesting to me. Like, their lives and the things that they had to say were just nonsense. And I guess it was kind of an ego thing somehow. Like, I felt like people sucked. You know, I'm remembering the kind of 15, 16-year-old phase where you kind of get into this emo or edgy mode, and you think that everyone sucks. And and yeah, I just didn't know how to talk to people. Like, I felt like I always ran out of things to say, and there were these awkward silences, and I was always thinking, oh shit, should I make this joke? Should I try this? Should I say this? No, it's too late. Too much time has passed, and now it's gonna get awkward if I say it. And and somehow there's some parallel, uh, like, there's some connection between socializing and making jokes. They're both kind of similar in a way, because the more you try to do them, the better you get at them, and they both imply risk. And I personally believe that you kind of have to be willing to embarrass yourself to get better at both of them. And I don't know, that to me rings really true. Like, if you if you want to socialize better, you need to be willing to embarrass yourself sometimes, like at least in the beginning, to say things that maybe you shouldn't say, or to say awkward things. That's how I got better anyway. But yeah, how do you actually start enjoying socializing? In my opinion, there's one thing that you really need to do. There's two things that are super crucial. One of them is to start seeing people as like characters in your book. Like imagine your life as a book. You're the main character of your book, of course. And you have to start seeing people as like characters in your book. And they're like, not like NPCs, of course, but like interesting characters that you need to get to know their backstory on, so that your life can make more, like your book can be more interesting, and that you can learn a lot about life from these characters. That's what the main character in your book would do, right? Like the main character would interact with other characters, and he would get to know a lot about life through them. So that's it's like you need to make this mental shift that everyone has something interesting to say. Even if they look like they're boring or they sound boring, everyone has something interesting to say, or something interesting about their lives that they're not sharing. Like you need to believe this. Everyone has something interesting about them. And so let's imagine that you're awkward and shy. How do I get this information? How do I know, or how do I make these people like me, so that they will share this information, so that I will actually be interested in talking to them, you know? And the solution, that's what I found at least, is to ask questions. Questions are your best friend, and questions are what makes you a better speaker, and it's what makes you more interested in the other person. And now be careful, because this is something that comes with training, of course. You can't like just ask questions all the time and make it an interview. But if you know how to balance properly asking questions about the person and giving your opinion on the things that they say and listening, then it becomes a sort of dance, and that's how you improve your social ability. But yeah, the main thing is like if you get used to asking questions about them and asking interesting questions about them, then you can really extract information that is super juicy. And it makes you like the person more. Like it's interesting. It's like learning about a character in a book. That's why I made the book analogy. So if you don't like people, or you think you don't like people and you don't find them interesting, the first thing you need to do is try to get used to asking questions. Because first you won't need to talk that much. They will do the talking, because everyone likes to talk about themselves. And then you get used to listening more than talking, which is great. And then you find out information about them. And then you can give your opinions, which makes sense at that timing. Like people don't just want to talk about themselves without hearing anything back. Like you can always give a few opinions, and then just keep working on these questions and ask better questions every now and then. And people, they really feel better about themselves, and they start liking you more. So that's an important thing. And then when you start enjoying talking to people, you can put like more things in. So like looking at body language, how do they trying to interpret how they might be feeling at a certain point. And I'm not a pro at these things. This is just at some point you start doing it, like trying to understand how is this person feeling as I'm talking to them? What kind of things should I talk about? What kind of things should I not talk about? But it mostly comes down to like, you know, when you start enjoying socializing, it mostly comes down to, are you willing to risk embarrassment by saying the wrong thing? And I'm telling you, if you really want to get into becoming a more social person in general, it's going to happen. You're going to make a lot of faux pas. It's the same with jokes. You're going to make like a bad joke. You're going to make someone offended. You're going to at some point embarrass yourself. It's going to happen for sure. And here's the tip that I feel like a lot of people will probably judge me for, but I don't care. I mean, I think it's necessary to say it, which is find material online if you need help. You know, I did it. I looked up stuff on YouTube, like how to socialize better. I Googled stuff like how do I talk to people better? How to become better at making friends? How to talk to people? How to get them to to tell you interesting things, or how do you start being more interested in people? That's how I figured it out. Like I'm not a social genius. I started liking socializing because I labbed it. I googled it, and it seems really cringy to say it, but it's true. Like, just use YouTube, and people will judge you for it. They will say that's fucking weird, man. You should be a natural at this, because some people are just natural at socializing and enjoying it. But don't fucking care about that. Like, if you want to get better at it, it's like any other skill. You need to fucking research and try it. You can also practice without researching, but it's inefficient. It will hurt you more than trying to see what other people think about it. So that's my take on that. Also one thing, it's often a really good tip to share your personal experiences first before you ask other people about their personal experiences, because most people don't want to share that stuff. It's only when you create intimacy by sharing your own stuff first. It's kind of like you create a bond between people. But yeah, to wrap it up, I feel like anyone can learn to socialize better. Anyone can learn to meet new people or improve their current relationships. And it's mostly about researching what's out there, but you already probably know what to do. It's mostly like you should put more effort into these things. If you have a lot of close friends, but you're not meeting new people, you know what you need to do. You probably need to expose yourself and find some hobbies where you meet people. If you keep meeting new people all the time and you're really good at that and you're very social in that aspect, but you don't have close friends, you know what you need to do. You need to talk to people better and sit down and try to match with them, try to see what they like and try to do things with them and get and focus on a subset of people and get better along with them. And I think if you work on both of these things together, you'll have a very enriching social experience. And I'm saying this, and right now we're in Corona, and I'm almost not meeting anyone. I have a few friends that I meet, and I joined I created this server for people to talk with, and I'm lucky I have really good friends online that I talk to on a regular basis. But now is not the best social time, right? But yeah, this is my opinion about socializing. If you have anything you'd like to add, or you have your own opinions or takes on this, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. And finally, I want to finish this podcast with a hypothetical situation. So it's something that I made up myself, and I shared it with a group of friends. I wanted to see if you guys have any ideas about this. So the question is, it's a would you rather. So would you rather, point A, would you rather that 50% of the times that you order food online, you order some food delivery, 50% of the times that you order, the order is wrong. So let's say that, and it always adds up to the value that you paid. So let's say you pay 13 euros and you order a Big Mac with cheeseburgers and nuggets. You would get the wrong order, but it would add up to the 13. So you could get maybe 2 Big Macs instead, or a completely different menu. You could get even just Coke, 13 euros worth of Coke, or 13 euros worth of just dip sauce. It could be anything. But I guess probably it would be a proper menu. But yeah, 50% of the time your food order would be wrong. Or 10% of the time that you have showers, so 1 in 10 showers, as you shower, 1 in 10 showers will become, the water will become cold for at least 1 to 2 hours. So out of nowhere, you're taking a shower and suddenly the water becomes super cold. And yeah, it's almost undoable to take the rest of the shower. Which one would you prefer? Number 1 or number 2? So I've already thought about this before, of course, and I already have an answer for it, but I'd like to explore this a bit more. So in the first situation, like I said, if you ordered the food, 50% of the times it would be wrong. Now that's really frustrating for sure. So uh, let's see. If you, I mean, 50% is a huge number, is a huge percentage, by the way. So it's like 1 in 2 meals would be fucked up. But let's look at the positive sides, right? It could happen that you get meals that you would have never ordered, and maybe they actually end up being better. It's possible. You could try new food items that you wouldn't expect. Also possible. And you can also see it like this: if 50% of the things that you order are wrong, then it could be that you just you stop ordering food and you start eating healthier and cooking more. So if you're like a person who cooks a lot, this probably would be the best option for you because it wouldn't affect your life that much. But it is frustrating at the same time. I mean, now especially with Corona, we order food all the time. At least I do. And so it would be really frustrating to have this, especially because I already know how it feels like this delivery service here in Berlin sucks asshole. Like I keep getting the wrong order or like not getting my order at all. I've had so many fights because of this shit. And the second option, the 10% showers becoming cold. I mean, the positive thing is that maybe you would shower less, or sorry, no, you would shower not so long, right? So whenever you get the cold water, you would just leave immediately. You could take like shorter showers, which is probably better for you, or you would get cold showers, which are also supposedly healthier. You could get used to that. But yeah, like just having a bad shower is really disgusting. It's really it sucks. Like especially when you go to someone's house and you're not used to their shower and it's shit. Like you have like two things where showers can be really terrible, and it's like when the pressure sucks. So it's either the pressure is too high or too low in the shower. And well, usually high pressure is not the problem. It's usually low pressure, so you barely get any water coming out of it. And the second situation is when this is the worst one, when the sweet spot of temperature is like at a really small range. Like you need to find a really specific spot where the temperature of the water is good. If you go anything beyond that, it's extremely warm, like scalding hot. And if you go slightly below it, it's freezing cold. I fucking hate these showers. Like there's nothing worse than having a fucked up shower. Like it's really, really bad. And now if we look at percentages, yeah, 50% is a lot bigger than 10%. So it would suck. Like basically when you order food, you have to expect that it will be shit or the order will be wrong. Doesn't mean that the food will be shit, but the thing that you want will probably not be what you want. Okay, that's true. But this 1 in 10 showers, man, I fucking hate it. There's nothing that I hate more than a cold shower or just a shower that unexpectedly stops working. Like you expect the shower to be good and then it's shit, To me, that's the worst. And so I personally would pick the first option. So I would prefer having the curse of the 50% of my orders being fucked up than the second one. I don't know what you think. Let me know what you think. I'm curious about your opinions on this. Yeah, fuck the cold showers. And that's all I had to say for today. Soon we'll be having another guest on the podcast. I'm not sure when yet, but it will be fun. Very special guest. And that's all. That's all for today. Stay safe and don't get Rona blasted. Take care.